Now,
Yes.
you don't expect somebody who have no knowledge of even the European standard of the law to explain this. And talking of
Yes.
the law, I just want to point on something that I will leave it beside. I just want to, in parentheses, that
Yeah.
it shouldn't be right that the European are the one bringing the law to us, then we don't have any law. It's not true. We also have our
Yeah.
law. But let's even pretend that
Yes.
we don't have any law. Let's even use the European law this time.
Yes.
Our law expert, people who have studied law, who are very intelligent, because there are people that are very intelligent in Africa in terms of law and things related to law.
Yes.
Well, can they do something legally? We're talking legally, because now
Mm-hmm.
what did I like about Nelson Mandela is that he used the game against the people and was able to get some things, no? He was the guy
Yeah.
we talked about the other time, no? Because
Yeah.
it's the same thing that Krumah was saying. You need to understand the system, then use it for your interest.
Yes.
Because now, if we're talking of lawfare, that law is being used to dispossess African people, we need African people who are expert in the law to tell the people this is the game. We need to play the long game
Yes.
legally. How can we do that?
Um, in as much as the law experts will come in, I'm not a law expert myself, but I do get to understand to a certain extent how the state operates. The state has got the judiciary, the state has got the executive and the legislature. This legislature, that's where we have the elected representatives of government in terms of constituencies, and these lawmakers, the legislature, are the lawmakers. They are the people who can amend a constitution. They are the people who can make amendments and put them forward for the people to give their input, and then it can be then taken to the executive, and it's made law. It's quite an easy process to do if our lawmakers are knowledgeable about the matters. The challenge that we have is that most people that are elected into being members of parliament are mostly people who are not knowledgeable about these matters that we're talking about. They they have the power, they have the influence, but unfortunately they don't have the ideas. So I think in a way we need to have people who have the ideas to push the ideas to these lawmakers, such that these lawmakers can identify with these ideas and see how noble the ideas might be. They can probably maybe make adjustments, add to them, make subtractions uh, without distorting the idea altogether. And these things can simply be made law. It's as easy as that. You only need two-thirds majority in parliament, and then you can pass any law that you want to pass. Mugabe did it in 2000, and it worked very well. Majority of Zimbabweans got their land. And it can happen the same way in any other resource pertaining to any other resource. It's as simple as that. But you need to understand also that, remember, the colonialist is not sleeping. The colonialist is very much active. The colonialist is very much knowledgeable of the capabilities that we can have if we think in certain lines. So they try by all means to make sure that that's why you see that they tend to align with certain political parties, and these so-called opposition parties in many times they tend to be influenced in terms of their ideology, in terms of their economics, in terms of their approach, um, in a way that tends to favor the person who's sponsoring them. You definitely need to make sure that you have principled politicians who stand their ground, who stand and believe in the empowerment of their people, who understand what is at stake, who understand that it's not about them and their families and money, it's about generations to come. And once we have such people with such ideas, we will begin to see a change in terms of the African dynamics, the African politics, which influences the economics. Politics plays a major role in economics of a country. And if we have the properly aligned, the properly thinking politicians, we will see the right changes in terms of our economics. We will see the development on the ground. We'll see the results being felt by the individual person on the ground. And when that starts to happen, we start to see that the African is becoming liberated, is becoming empowered. And that's a scenario that we need to see, that all fairness is done within the confines of our laws. But if the laws are not working for us, we have the 2/3 majority. Change them and make sure that they work for us. If you can't keep a law that doesn't work for you, why are you keeping it? To benefit who? You can't keep a law that disadvantages you. For what reason? For what purpose? Why then are you in government? You need to put laws that empower your people. Hey, you need to put laws that empower your people. Imagine the Zimbabwean land reform program was at a snail's pace for 10 years, for almost 15, if not 17 years, because they were respecting a law that was in the Lancaster House Constitution, a law that was against them. And they had to change that constitution to come up with the Zimbabwean constitution that benefit the African people, the Zimbabwean people with their context. You can't have something that is cooked up in Europe to work in Africa. It might work in certain areas, but in the larger aspect, in the larger part of it, it won't work. So this is the call that we need to make to our politicians. That's why we have technocrats. That's why we have universities. If we have proper professors who are not just there as armchair professors, they need to make sure that they come up with policies which they bring to the attention of the policymakers to finally be converted into laws, the laws of the country, the laws that will benefit our people. To our lawyers have got the expertise, they've got the intelligence. They need also to think outside the box and say, is our constitutional law applicable, beneficial, and of economic benefit to our people? Is it benefiting our people? Is it empowering our people? Is it giving justice to our people? Is it bringing stability and peace for our people? If not, they also have the means and channels which they can also pursue to make sure that the relevant laws that are relevant to their people, beneficial to their people, can be promulgated. It's not something that is very difficult to do. Of course, it can be a process, but it's something that can be happening. It's the same thing with the aspect of land in South Africa, where they are talking about there is this debate: should we take land without compensation? Should we take it with compensation? And it's been a process that is going to and fro, and we yet to see it coming to reality. We yet to see it materializing. But it must be a law that benefits their people, the majority of the African people, because that's the reason why they have been fighting for independence, such that their people can benefit. If you fought and your people are not benefiting, so why were you fighting?